Hi there, I am Dani and I am so glad you're here. Today we are talking about Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. I have been a huge fan of Joe Dispenza for a very long time. One of the things that I love about him is that he is one of those people who is doing the research that is showing us so often that ancient wisdom from thousands of years ago, literally, some of these ideas that they had back then about mindfulness, about how the world works, about our 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 brain, and about our ways of being and how they are impacting our lives. So many of these things have been this wisdom that has been passed down. And Joe Dispenza is one of the guys who is, as a scientist, showing how these ideas are really true, are provable, breaking down. Not that we know exactly how a lot of it works because we are still in the dark about, I don't even know how much of the brain, maybe 90% of the brain or something. We're still just beginning kind of this whole understanding the brain and how it works kind of thing and its impact on the world. But what we're starting to realize truly and be able to prove is that when you think different thoughts, your body changes, your experience changes, your life changes. And so he does these experiments, and this is just going to be part one. There is so much stuff in this book, and it is a long book. He has every experiment outlined. He gives the sources and all of that in his book. I'm not going to go into that kind of detail. I read that stuff, and as soon as I get what I need, like the idea behind it or understanding, oh, the power of my brain can change my body, my life, my outlook, what's possible for me. As soon as I understand that and it validates it in my mind, gives it more evidence for being real, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to memorize it. I don't need to cite the source. I'm not trying to convince anybody else. None of that. None of that is worth my time. This is just what I'm getting out of reading this book. And I think it's so good for anybody who's more interested in changing these conditioned ways of being that we all have. Again, if you're fine with all your conditioned ways of being, that's fantastic. It must be great to be you, and I love you. Amazing. Comment below, let me know. I would love to hear it. But for a lot of us, we just have things that we wish to change, that we desire to change. And Joe Dispenza is one of those people that is shining the light on exactly how to do that with more understanding about how our brain works and its role in truly creating our life and how we experience life. So a couple of the really interesting experiments, and I'm just going to paraphrase, and again, I'm just taking it off the cuff. One of them in particular was something that I believe he did at one of his very own seminars, and it was showing a tremendous increase in the immunization in the immunization in our response to fight disease, in our immune response, and how it is boosted through 4 days of people being in his seminar and consciously doing this work on spending, I think it's 3 times a day, at least 10 minutes at a time, giving gratitude, giving thanks, being in joy. So here's one of the things that we know changes the brain. Anyway, the people who did this in his seminar spent at least 10 minutes 3 times a day in gratitude, in joy, whether it's visualization or having a memory or watching a movie or whatever it is they're doing that's bringing this gratitude and joy to the surface, and wallowing in those feelings for at least 10 minutes 3 times a day. It increased their immune response in their bodies. I forget this particular marker that they were measuring, but it's just showing us there is a tremendous amount going on. There's so much wisdom in the body and in the brain, and they're connected in ways that we just don't understand. But thinking happy thoughts, having joy, having gratitude literally changes the response in the body. And so also what this is that what he's finding too is that, we all are, especially now, we can test for certain genes that people have. You might have a gene for a breast cancer, you might have a gene for a certain disease or something. And if it's primarily hereditary, they may do testing to offer it to you so that you might know whether you would be predisposed to possibly getting certain illnesses, things like that. Well, what he's doing is the research that he's doing is showing that these genes are still either present or not present, but our environment, what we are doing, what we're thinking, what we're seeing, what we're in, our environment and the environment of our body is actually what is controlling whether these genes are, I'm forgetting the terminology, up, whether it's turning them on or turning them off. It's uploading them, it's up, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't remember. It's upgrading, upregulating. Thank you. It's up-regulating them or down-regulating them. So in other words, the presence of the gene is not near as important as what you are doing and whether that will flip that gene on to be active or flip it off to be inactive based on environment. So what we're seeing is we have a lot more control than what we might have previously thought about our future, about controlling what our bodies are doing, about controlling our lives and the direction that they're headed. Again, it isn't like, you'll never get sick if you are happy, 10 minutes a day for 3 times a day or whatever. But it is just evidence along this trail of, if we take the time and really work on our thoughts and our feelings, who hasn't heard of the gratitude journal thing, right? I mean, I think pretty much everybody who's done any kind of self-help work in the last, how many ever years ago it was that Oprah, I remember, did a specific show on, I think, gratitude journaling and how it had changed her life, right? And so as soon as Oprah did it, like everyone was talking about it. At least that's my memory, and kind of how it came to me was kind of through Oprah and this whole thing. And then before you know it, everybody who's super successful, who has a routine in the morning, everyone from Tony Robbins to Oprah to you name it, has a gratitude routine, has a gratitude practice, does gratitude journaling. It elevates us. And that's what we know, is that just having these feelings does many good things. And it honestly, it does more good things than we can even imagine. Law of attraction people talk all the time about gratitude and how if you are truly grateful for what you have, that's laying the foundation. You call in more good, right? You become more of a magnet for those good things coming in, right? So we know some of this, but did I know that it increased my immune response in my body? That if some germ were to show up in my experience, that my immune system would be tuned up and turned on and ready to meet that, up by 50% of a certain marker or whatever that the specific numbers are, that my specific immune response is going to be stronger because I'm taking that time to do those visualizations, to taking that time to watch my favorite comedian and just laugh out loud, whatever it is we're doing. So what I'm saying is, along this path of transformation, there are so many little things that we do that we might not ever think are truly having an impact. And what I'm reading and what is reinforcing, what is the wisdom that I feel like I know for sure, is that every time we take that cue and do that good thing for us, or do that thing we know we should do that's going to take us closer to our goal, like get up off the couch and go to the gym instead of staying there and in Netflix binge watching something, every time we make that choice, every time we make a choice to spend a few moments in gratitude, every time we make a choice to notice all of the good, because our conditioned ways of being are bringing in so many negatives, that we have to consciously, if we want to break this cycle, take the time to do these positive things. And it just encourages me because it is a lot of work to consciously do these things and to spend this time doing this stuff, but it is so worth it. And there are so many benefits that we will do that we will never even know that we're receiving, but part of us knows it just feels good, or it made me believe something was possible. So then once I believe something is possible, then I'm ready to take more steps. Then I'm ready to do more work. I'm ready to take another chance to move forward in creating that life that I want. And I am just like on fire for this stuff because you won't always have enough motivation within yourself. I know I don't. I don't always have enough motivation. I don't always have enough discipline. I don't always have enough of whatever I need. So these books help me to remind me, or to prove, or to give further evidence for all of these positive steps that I'm taking, for all of this moving forward that I'm doing, that I can see. And I hope that it does it for you as well. I know it does it for a lot of people. Comment if you are having this experience, if you love Joe Dispenza, or if you're spending any time purposely feeling good or doing affirmations. I can do a whole nother video on affirmations. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. This video is long enough. Okay, so that's enough for today. If you like this video, please. And if you love it, then subscribe and hit the bell. And if you think someone else who might love it, then please share. And please leave a comment. I would love to know about your journey. That's what this is all about, is kind of all of us kind of building a community, having some cheerleaders, having some other voice in our lives. So often the people that we know, or the people that we have grown up with, or the people in our lives are at this certain way of thinking that is more of our conditioned way of being, and not always the voices that we need for moving forward, doing those new things, trying those new things, expanding. And so we need more voices like that in our lives. We need more connections like that. We need more support like that. That's why I am doing this. I'm glad you're here, and I'll talk to you soon.